Hello, everyone, and welcome back to PAO Fans International. I'm your host, Antoni, with the American crew today. I got Alex with me. Alex, how are you, man?
Good. What's up, Antoni? Yeah, doing really good,
Uh,
We're recording this pretty soon after the game. I think this is like the quickest we've ever recorded, so it's
yeah,
fresh.
definitely fresh. Yeah, man, definitely doing good. It's that Christmas time. We had a good positive vibe today. Like you said, I think this is the first time that the American crew at least, have recorded a game pretty quickly after the match. So, smiles all around for us recently with the FC especially. Today, let's just kind of dive right into it with our win. We had the win against Califea. We also had the win against Minsk in Europe. In fact, let's actually talk about the European win first, and then we'll get into Califea. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. Um, Against Minsk, we saw finally the floodgates opening. We had a big win, 4-0. And we saw, of course, a barrage of goals. We saw an incredible goal from Ioannidis. Um, which again, a one goal of the week for Conference League. I mean, it was something out of like FIFA or FC that you would see where he just flicked it off the back of his heel and just knocked it over and just chipped it in like Ibrahimovic. So fantastic all around. Really, I personally for me, and I think Alex, you probably were thinking the same thing as well as the other guys. I think our concerns really recently were just the fact that like we were kind of, barely scoring. And we talked about the importance of having a big blowout win. And thankfully, that came against Minsk. That big blowout win actually helped us to secure a higher position in Conference League and to avoid getting Chelsea again. So, Alex, I kind of want to get your thoughts on the performance. What did you see? Like, what were kind of like your key takeaways from that 4-0 win?
Yeah, I mean the key takeaway was what you just said right there, like the goals, because that was, I didn't want a statement win. I think the statement was the fact that we were putting together so many consecutive wins and good performances. So I didn't need it to be like, oh, we need to put goals past any opponent for a statement. No, it was more so that, there was this repetitive uh problems with finishing because we would be putting 20 shots on target every game and then only winning 1-0. So I just needed to see the finishing get better, kind of improve basically on what the only thing that we weren't doing well, which was, the finishing. Because when you have 20, 25 shots every game, you should be at least most of those games not winning 1-0. Of course, shit goes sideways sometimes and you get unlucky. But, so I didn't I just needed to see improvements in the only thing that was lacking. And we did. That's exactly what happened. We saw improvements in the only thing that was lacking. And we played I think more of the same, like we've seen under Rui Vitoria. The performance was very good. The chances were there. And we just finally put them away, which was really reassuring. Now I think we just have to start doing that on a more consistent basis. Like not just, oh, we finally got those, the the bashing that we needed and now we go back to 1-0. Like, no, we just need to start doing that a little more consistently, which is slightly we'll get to that with the Califea game, why it was a little annoying, but I'm not taking anything away from either game. Very pleased with what happened on Thursday. And like you said, it was the difference because off the top of my head, I think 12th through 16th all ended on 10 points. Um, so that's five places, 12, 13, 14, five places, all equal points, and the difference is just goal difference. And those four goals were the difference between potentially finishing 16th and finishing as high as 12th. We obviously just finished short of 12th, 13th, but it didn't, when you look at what the possible opponents were at that point, it didn't make much of a difference. So I'm very pleased.
Yeah, yeah, great summation there. I think, I was definitely one of those people that was a little bit concerned about the lack of goal scoring. Not in the sense that, I was thinking it was something that was, an emergency or anything, but just for the sake of like mentality. And like you said, we'll kind of talk about it with Califea, but it was nice to see, we were kind of due for a big win, really, because we've been creating chances, we've been generating, we just haven't been able to find the back of the net. And just finally, we were able to find the back of the net, get some great goals in. Again, that Foti goal that they scored twice. Unfortunately, he missed that penalty before Foti kind of made up for it. Um,
I
but
didn't realize I was looking back at, sorry to interrupt, but I was looking back at the game summary. I didn't realize they happened immediately after each other.
yeah,
It felt like, it felt like there was so much time between those, like, oh, Tete misses and then like there's some downtime and then Foti does Treles, but it happened immediately, which
yeah.
I guess I just like blacked out and it felt like so much time had passed. I don't know.
It's almost like a butterfly effect. Like if the
Yeah.
Ted, scores that, Foti probably doesn't score that wonder goal. So it worked out at
Yeah.
the end, realistically. But like, overall, just the level of play that I saw, again, like you said, we've been seeing more structure with Rui. There's actual positive play that we're witnessing. Defensively, I think we've been pretty tight. Um, and just offensively, just the way that we move the ball forward, you see that we're going with purpose in our attacks now. And people are catching form. Like again, Tete finally got his form again. Um, Foti, again scored that wonder goal. And then of course, guys like Juric, it's still. I mean, I feel like Juric this is the best we've ever seen him. This is the Juric that I thought, when we signed him under Ivan, this is what we're gonna see. So
First in goal contributions on the team, I believe it's 11 total goal contributions, 8 and 3, I think. That's again off the top of my head. But yeah, I do believe he's first in goal contributions, which who would have thought, like that's crazy. Like when it's very similar to like what we got with Aitor a couple of years ago, like what the Greeks called like esoteriki metagraphy, like
yeah.
when the guy when it's like a signing from within the club because the guy just starts doing amazing. Like, and that's exactly what we got with Aitor when he just hit the ground running 2 years ago, I guess that is now. And Jurcic is just doing that now, and he's putting the team on his back often, especially when Tete recently hasn't been in form, like you said. Now he's catching form again, hopefully. But in that maybe month stretch where he wasn't, getting those goal contributions, Jurcic really picked it up. So that's big. That's what else can you ask for?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, 100%. That's a great analogy, actually. Thinking about it, having like a signing from within the club. As soon as somebody hits form, it could transfer. It could transform a season. So,
Yeah.
yeah, having a guy like Juricic, and I feel like, I mean, him being on the left wing as well. I feel like he's just contributing in a different way that we could have thought of. Like, for example, I think he's in his natural position like a cam.
When he was younger, yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
it's kind of ironic because like usually like you would transition from the wing to the center as age goes on, but both Bernard and Jurcic have done the opposite recently, right? They've gone towards the left wing even though they're, getting up there in age. But yeah, I think when he was younger, he was more of a cam, and now we're just seeing him hit the ground running on the wing. I don't know. It's kind of yeah, it's kind of unorthodox the way it's going.
Yeah, it's definitely been intriguing because I mean, especially Pelistri's been out the last couple of games with that illness, and I feel like Pelistri he was finally starting to catch his form a little bit, trying finally catching his feet, but Jury just being in such good form on the left has been a really big savior for us. Like you said, the 11 goal contributions is insane. So that's been positive. Our midfield's been positive. Unahi really really stepped it up. In
I
that
think he I think he's most improved under Rui, in my opinion. He's a completely different player.
yeah, I
Honestly, I watch him and it we had a little chat about this recently in the chat, and we were talking about, how much because his buy is 11.5
right.
at the end of the season. And that's a lot. Obviously, that's a lot of money for us, but I don't know. Every game I watch him, I'm like, I don't know. It's still high, but I like what I'm seeing. He just and I wanna I wanna point out something that I think his passing has really gotten taken that next level, like you said, with just kind of like with the midfield being better under Rui. Um the ball movement is much better, but specifically with him, you see him take on a lot more chances with through balls down the wings, like kind of diagonal through balls or
Yeah.
even just straight away down through the middle of the field. I'm thinking specifically of the first goal against Minsk. Obviously, Kotiras put in a great low cross. Yermev, great first touch to um, put in the net. But I think the most important part of the play was the hockey assist, basically the double assist. I guess is what they call it in hockey. Um, so the pass before Kotiras passed it, that was from Unahi. And
Yeah.
it was an excellent through ball, and that was, in my opinion, that was the best part of the play because without that ball, without that preciseness, which that one had to be the most precise out of everything else that happened in that play. Without that, the rest of it doesn't happen. So that's kind of the stuff that I've seen him do much more, try much more under Rui, but also do much more effectively.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. I think he also assisted Tete in his first goal. He had like that diagonal ball that you're talking about. He had that drift
Yeah,
pass, and Tete just broke
yeah,
through with his speed and scored. I think it was him, right? It was
yeah, 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 yeah. You're right. You're right. Yep.
yeah, right.
Exactly.
Oh, like yeah, I know. Right when you were talking about that, that was the first thing that went to my mind was that first assist. He just had that low driven pass, perfectly penetrated their defensive line, and you saw that they just run in and get that goal. So he seriously has been like a turnaround for us. Like we talked about Juricic, he's been a turnaround, and like you said, like Metagrafi, like he can really
Yeah.
be like that savior in the midfield there. So overall, happy with him. Defensively, I think Serge mentioned it in the chat today. I think we're the best defense in the Greek Super League. So we've even seen our defensive side really, step it up. That was a little bit of a concern of mine. I'm not gonna lie, when we were under Alonso, where I felt like we're just getting exposed so much because of that lack of midfield. But now that the midfield's looking like it's been solved, defensive we were looking a little more solid too. And to be fair, we're not playing very high level opponents, but we're still seeing like a positive trajectory on all three fronts of our team, defensively, midfield, and on the attack.
Yeah. The defense is a funny one, and I think the guys had an interesting conversation about it last week. They were talking kind of about like Ingeson's output, kind of how they feel about him, and also just the defense as a whole. And I think basically their conclusion was like, that Ingeson is kind of um, maybe not lived up to expectations, this and that, which I don't disagree with, but at the same time, we do have the best defense, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of funny to be like, your starting center back, one of your two starting center backs hasn't, lived up to the expectations yet. You've conceded less than 10 goals. I think we're on 9 goals. We're the only single digit goals conceded in the league. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of funny. But I don't think Ingesson has been bad. I think for me, maybe I'd say that he just hasn't blown away. But I think he's done his job, right? I think he's done. I don't even know what my expectations were, to be fair. Like when he came in, I know, we're familiar with him from PAOK, but that's been a couple years. And then obviously he had to go to Midtjylland. Hadn't seen him there. Basically what I'm getting at is I'm not sure what my expectations were, but he's picked up a shift. Like he's playing every game. You know, he's he's just doing the job, I think. Like I can't really complain, especially when the stats back him up and back the whole defense up.
Yeah, yeah, that was literally the first thing that went to my mind when we mentioned our defensive stats was Ingesson actually. Ingesson, I agree. For me, he hasn't blown me away, but to your point, when you think about it, I mean, we've only conceded 9 goals. So I think he's been doing something right, and something like the kids say these days. I guess you could say he's mid. Like
Kids.
he's not like he's not like blowing us away like he's Sergio Ramos, but he's not
Yeah.
bad. He's just kind of somewhere in the middle. Like I feel like he
Yeah.
could be a little bit better sometimes. Like I feel like sometimes he gets lost on headers. Like when they cross the ball in, sometimes I'll kind of see him kind of lose it, or he'll just make little mistakes like that. But overall, I mean he's he's definitely been an upgrade over Akaidin or whatever his name was last year. So Samet. But yeah, definitely, you know, not bad, not blowing us away either. But I mean, hey, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Just leave it as it is, and we'll see, how things kind of turn out on that front. But yeah,
And back to the goals. I mentioned this in the chat too on Thursday. Like it was really nice to see that literally each goal was better than the last one.
Yeah.
Which listen, you don't often get 4 goals in a game, especially this season. Obviously, that's a first for us this season.
Yeah.
I guess Botev was the first, but first under Rui and first in a while. But to get 4 goals and have each one improve on the last is just so beautiful to see. It was like that game on Thursday was just your typical, just like I'm so happy I'm watching this team. I'm so happy this team is doing so well right now. And it was just like, I don't know. I just wanted to rewatch the game immediately. That's how pleasant that game was. And just seeing the players just perform at that level. Um, yeah, Tete 2 goals, both beautiful. And then I mean, we have to say something about the Foti goal. You mentioned it, but that was, I don't know. We were talking a little bit about it in the chat. Um, where it ranks amongst all Greeks. I don't want to go too much into that because that would require some research on my end, but that was just I can't in my life I can't remember a Greek scoring. I guess Karagunis would be the one against Werder Bremen, which is the only one off in my lifetime that I could compare it to. Obviously, it had similarities to Gonzalez and when was that?
Like 2004.
Early 2000s, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That was absolutely incredible goal.
I'm gonna,
I,
that I yeah, I've been watching it on replay. I'm gonna have to whip up an edit or something on TikTok just of like some explosion. Dude, it was just incredible, man. It was like
I
again,
got full body chills, bro. Full body chills from that. I'm getting chills now just thinking about it. Like that was you don't see those goals in general often, and then for it to come from your team, the team you love, makes it so much more special. And a Greek player is just I don't know. It just layers on how good it is.
exactly. Yes, and it's so nice. Like going on Twitter, going on X, and you see Conference League, right? With the official Conference League account saying, goal of the week is Fotis Ioannidis Panathinaikos. Like you said, it's your own club, it's your boyhood club that you've been seeing since you were a kid. It's a Greek player, and it's a wonder goal, and he's credited with it. It's nice. It stirs up a little bit of pride there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I love it, man. It was just again like the way that he flicked it up. I don't know if you've ever seen that goal or that little flick that Suarez did when he was at Barcelona. He flicked it. It was against Bayern. Flicked it over Benati, I think it was. Just
Yeah.
flicked it over, got the ball, and I think that was an assist. He ended up passing it for a goal, but his technique, like Bacaseta's passes is to Foti, he flicks it up off the back of his heel, goes over like that, and just boom, chips it. And the cherry on top is the goalkeeper was talking so much crap to Tete after because he missed the penalty,
Oh, was he?
and then he's like no, which made me laugh anyway because Tete scored twice on him, and then he gets
It's
the ball.
3-0. Like
Yeah, and he's like nope, nope, and then Foti just freaking scores that bomb, dude. It was
uh,
so poetic,
and
incredible.
the confidence to take that on, especially all right, he's started scoring a little bit recently. Like that was his third straight game with a goal, I think.
Yeah.
But he hasn't really been informed this season. So to have that confidence when all the signs show that he really shouldn't have that confidence is just it makes it even better. I don't know what to say. It's
Yeah, shows you his quality
anyway.
still there.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Last
it just reminds everyone that even 2-3 months of struggling with injuries and being out of form and this and that. Class is permanent, man. Class is permanent.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, it to me it just kind of shows that last year wasn't a one off. Like it just shows like nah, this guy's quality. Like I've talked about it before, but Fotis possesses a lot of qualities that you don't really see with a lot of Greek players, especially a striker. Greek strikers, you don't really see that too much. So just the ability to finish, the ability to control the ball like that, it's just all incredible and really
Yeah,
capped off a really good performance from us. Overall, I mean, just to kind of like wrap that up a little bit too, it's just nice to finally have, like you were saying, one of those games where it's just exciting to watch Panathinaikos play. Like the FC, the last, before Rui came in, I mean, it was just like it was kind of like it was brutal. I'm not gonna lie. Like we'd watch the games and it was just you could see the issues, you could see that the team was struggling, and it was tough to watch. Now you kind of see that we're playing with some structure, we're playing with some type of discipline, And it's actually just, again, it's fun to watch the games again. We're not like the chat, like I look forward to going to the chat and seeing the positivity in there instead of
Yeah.
like, kind of like, man, what's going on. So it's been a nice turnaround, and that game really added, just to it all.
With Alonso, it was basically like pre-Yoba, where like you didn't look forward to Sundays, right? Like you
Yeah.
didn't. And you were almost dreading it. You're like, all right, like I obviously have to watch this. Like I love this team and I'm gonna watch it, but like I'm not looking forward to this and it's just gonna hurt me. And it's just masochism at this point. And then Yova came along and we obviously coined, not we, but the fan base coined the phrase, "Masaya na Hiroma sa Tskiriakes." He made us, look forward to Sundays again, which is exactly what he did. And then Alonso took it back, and now Rui's, taking it back to what Yova's doing and finishing what he started, and is ultimately making us look forward to Sundays again and Thursdays, which is just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and Sturge brought up a point too. I couldn't put my finger on it, man. When we signed Rui, I was very happy with the signing. But like, that first game in his press conference and everything, I was like, why am I so just drawn to Rui? What's something about it? And he gives Yova vibe. That's what it was. Like he's a serious character, just like Yova, and he's very structured. He's very disciplined in his plan. But something that I do like a little bit more than what Yova did is I like that Rui's not afraid to make subs and he's not afraid to make adjustments earlier on. I feel like that was kind of a struggle when we had Yova a little bit, was kind of like waiting until like the 75th minute until
Yeah.
a sub, or making an adjustment to the formation. It's been nice seeing that a little bit. And I mean, compared to
He
what we saw with Alonso, it's breath of fresh air.
he's less rigid, right? And
Right.
I think a big part of that is also he does have a better squad to work with. So like, I don't know, maybe I don't want to speak for Yova and I don't want to hypothesize and I don't even want to, go back to that, but Yova's depth was not as great as Rui's is. Like, the guys that Rui has on his bench are, I think, much easier to trust in a longer cameo, let's say a 20-minute cameo, than the guys that Yova might have had on the bench. So that also factors. But, and he said as much himself, Rui, when he came in, I'm going to use all my players. Um, because he sees what he has, and I think he saw that, he does have good players and use them. And we've seen that with like Limnios, right? Like he basically didn't see at all the pitch under Alonso, and now he's, at least getting a 10, 15 minute, sometimes even 20-minute cameo under Rui, almost every game. So he's doing what he said he was gonna do. So yeah, I mean, very, 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 very pleased.
Yeah, very pleased. And again, I mentioned it when he first came in. I'm very pleased also that he didn't come in with like grandiose promises of like we're gonna win the league, we're gonna get all these championships, these titles, these wins. He came in, he kind of gave us the reality of the situation, what kind of goes into turning around a situation like ours, how you kind of run a football club a little bit in terms of a managerial perspective. And we're seeing it again. He's putting his money where his mouth is. That's what I
Yeah,
like. Not
yeah.
not too crazy, and we're seeing we're reaping the fruits of that right now. So overall, very happy. Kind of just now I kind of want to talk about the Califea game today. Just finished a
Let's
couple.
just let's just point out that we did learn our opponent. We don't have to, do a deep analysis on them, but we did learn that we're playing Vikingur from Iceland. It was between, so the way it works, we finished 13th. So because we finished 13th, we were going to play either the 19th or the 20th team, I think it was, which was Vikingur or Borach, who we obviously had already met earlier this season. The draw happened the day after the Minsk game that happened on Friday, and we ended up drawing Vikingur, not Borach, so that's our opponent. Um, and that is for a spot in the round of 16. So they call this the knockout playoff round.
Mm.
Two legs in February, late February. I think it's the 19th or the 20th or the 21st, something like that. It starts. And then that is for, like I said, a spot in the round of 16. And I think that's also confirmed against either Fiorentina or Rapid Vienna.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, whoever if we progress past Vikinger, we are going to play the winner of Rapid Vienna and Fiorentina. And I could be wrong, but I had heard that we're not even going to play the game in Ice. They're from Iceland, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, they're from Iceland.
Yeah, we're gonna play somewhere. I think it's somewhere in Denmark or Sweden.
Scandinavia, yeah.
Yeah, because their stadium doesn't meet the regulations or whatever it is for UEFA. So we'll be playing there. So that I mean, I can imagine some of their fans, of course, are gonna travel, but it's in a way it's kind of beneficial for us that it's going to be in a somewhat neutralish ground, I guess, if you call it that way. But yeah, definitely looking forward to that. I think Nick mentioned it. I mean, this is the first time in how many years that we're still in Europe past Christmas. I mean,
So Roma was the last one, right? Roma Europa League 2010,
20,
2010. And that was our so we that was yeah, that was the last time we made the knockouts, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah,
15
yeah,
years ago, going on 15 years.
yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah,
And that was our official last away win in Europe, groups after the group stages.
knockouts, right?
I mean, of course, it was the last time we made the knockouts, so that obviously follows naturally. But yeah, that's crazy, man. That's
Yeah,
crazy. Can you imagine? I remember watching that game, that Roma game. We were young. We were about the same age. We were young. But
yeah.
can you imagine telling yourself back then, hey, this is gonna be the last time you're gonna see your team win a game like this for 15 years? That's fucking insane,
It's
man.
insane, man. Yeah, I was like, I must have been like 12, I think. Like, yeah, I can imagine just like, yeah, like 12, 13-ish, something like that. Like, I can just imagine just telling myself, yeah, like, yeah, enjoy this because, yeah, the next time that you're going to make that is going to be in 15 years from now. Like,
Yeah.
insane, dude. It's absolutely insane. Like, crazy, crazy stuff. But yeah,
That's
man, it's good. It's like, it kind of adds on to that positive vibe that we kind of started off with the FC now. So, kind of just switching gears a little bit to today. So, a couple of hours ago, this game just finished. We beat Califea 1-0. We were playing in Oaxaca. Um, it was thanks to a late goal from none other than Yermejev again, who scored against our opponents in Europe earlier this week. Um, Overall, it looked like Califea were, parking the bus. They got a red card, I think, around the 30th minute or so. And we did what we could. We tried to break them down. Ultimately, we found the goal. Um, it's a little bit of a flip from what we saw over the week, where we had that big 4-0 win, and then today we kind of scraped by a 1-0 win. But for me personally, I mean, I used to watch a lot of La Liga, a lot of Spanish football, and I remember even the days with like Messi, Neymar, and Suarez. I mean, there'd be games against like a Real Sociedad or even in Alaves, for example, where they would just park the bus, and Barca would just make so many chances, and they would maybe scrape by a 1-0 win. Sometimes they'd even lose. And it kind of reminded me of that today, not comparing that we're on the same level, but we had the chances to score. Mancini scored like on the 93rd minute, but he was offside to make it 2-0. But what's important for me is, and you'll probably agree with this as well, is we're finding ways to win. Where in the past, this is a game where we'd probably lose or we just draw. We'd get a 0-0 and we'd drop points, and then Ike or Bach or whoever would surpass us because they'd get the win that they needed against these types of opponents. So we're finding wins, and Rui has like this insane like record right now. I think in the league, what is it like? However many wins and like one draw, and then he's only lost one game total, I think, and that was the Jugarden game. So I mean, it's shaping up to be really positive. I think that's going to help the bricks coming at a funny time, but I don't know. I'm feeling good. What do you think about the performance? Was it a positive one in your eyes? Do you think that we could have improved in some areas?
it was weird because we obviously started very well. The
Yeah,
start of that game was incredible. We had that post too with Tete, um, who was given a beautiful pass from Jurčić after some very nice skill. There was a lot of chances. I think we ended the game with over 30 total shots.
yeah,
And probably like at least I think by like the red card we had like 12 shots or something. So like almost half came in that like first 30 minutes, I think. Something like that.
yeah,
Which is just a testament to how easy it was for us to get to goal in the beginning of that game, and you felt like the goal was coming, and then it didn't come, and then the red card came, and then it just kind of didn't do what you would expect it to do. It didn't help us. It it stifled us. They sat back more. Yes, they put, their nine guys behind the ball. Um, but yeah, I mean, we've seen this before. Like these kind of games have happened even under Yova where we've been a man up. I think it was like maybe like exactly a year ago we had like Kifisia at home or one of Kifisia or Ofi at home and we were man up
Oh yeah,
and it was exactly like this. We ended up tying that game 1-1 at Lessort, whichever one I'm thinking of about a year ago. But it
yeah,
was exactly like that. Like we were playing very well, and then the red card came, and then it just completely suffocated us. Either tactically, it wasn't going or whatever. But yeah, my point is that we've just seen this before, and it was getting a little nervy because I felt like I'd seen it before. Like when it was like the 75th minute, it was 0-0. I'm like, okay, I'm just watching that game again, that QVCI game or whatever from a year ago. Um, but to your point, like we just the team keeps on fighting. The subs were excellent. It was a sub to a sub passing to a sub for the goal. Mancini to the Armeyev. So well done on the subs from Rui. I think they came at a pretty good time. The first three came at about the hour, so he didn't waste a lot of time. Um, yeah, but like I don't know. I want to focus more on that first 20 to 30 minutes where I thought we were really good because that's what we've been seeing under Rui, like the ease of chances, um, getting to goal. Unahi was very good in that first 30 minutes with his through balls again, like we were saying. Tete and Jurcic, excellent, I think, on the wings, even though they didn't find the score sheet. Foti was all right. I didn't think he was amazing. He took a little step back. His scoring streak ended, obviously. That's 3 and 4. Yeah, I I guess the last thing I want to say is kind of like that little thing we alluded to earlier about how, it was a little annoying after that 4-0. Obviously, you don't expect to, you know, win every game 3-4-0 just because you finally broke through. But I don't know. I was hoping that we would have taken a little bit of that and found it a little easier to find the net today. I don't take it for granted. Obviously, this is a tough opponent. I said before the game, like I was completely fine with the 3 points, however it came, just so we end the year on a high note. But yeah, just a touch annoying, just a touch annoying.
yeah, yeah. I definitely. It's funny too because I wasn't able to catch the game live, so I ended up catching like extended highlights. But I remember like checking my phone when the game's over, and I'm like just preparing myself um for the. Sorry, can you see me still?
No,
Oh,
it's the mystery woman.
oh no, we're having technical difficulties here, you guys,
We had this little chat, me and Antoni, before we came on about the icon
on this
on
here.
the Zoom changing. So it's just me and Mystery Woman.
Yeah, I'm having an issue. Like somehow it's not. Hold up. Oh, here we go.
There he is.
There we go. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody.
That was fucking hilarious. That had to happen.
That yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're back. And I was talking about the Califea game. Okay, um, so with that, essentially, just kind of want to like piggyback off your point a little bit. I was a little bit like I was just prepared. I'm like, let me check my phone. I'm like, let me see what the score is gonna be. I'm like, we're probably gonna lose. I don't know, maybe we're gonna tie. I still have a little bit of that PTSD from like years prior whenever we play these
Of
types.
course. Of
So
course.
I was happy. I was like, okay, cool. We got the 1-0. That was super, super again, like you said, it was great to end on a high note. Um, I was happy with our play, especially that first 30 minutes that you mentioned. That they had a couple of chances. I mean, there was one. You probably remember Juricic hits like two roulettes on their
Yeah.
defenders and then just plays that beautiful through ball and then Tete just launches it and hits the sidebar.
Post. Yeah.
Yeah, and essentially, it went out, but we're creating threatening chances. Again, I looked up the stats while you were talking. 33 shots, we had 6 on target, we had 70% possession. So overall, a dominant display, but something like you said, where it would have been nice to see, more goals scored there. That would have been, of course, the cherry on top. Calicia didn't look too threatening. They were just more so, at least from what I gathered, just kind of just being annoying. That's kind of their role in that type of position, being a frustrating team to break down. Jerry, again, glad that he came in and scored. And
They're a good team though.
yeah,
Their record doesn't really show it. They're second bottom, and they're they're the only winless team in the league. So it's kind of counterintuitive to say that they're a decent side, but I think they are a decent side, and I think they're better than their record shows. And that's why you can't take this for granted, regardless of playing at home and the score line. Like they've taken points off of all the big four. They obviously hurt us in Lessort in the first half of the season. They recently just hurt Olympiacos. They also gave Olympiacos a hard time in the cup. And then they've taken points off of Ajax and PAO too. So they're respectable. I think they should be higher than 13th. And now all the other guys have to deal with them one more time. We're done with them. So I do hope they stay up though. I think they probably deserve to stay up more than other teams, but anyway, that's neither here nor there.
yeah. Here's hoping they can take some points off our opponents, our rivals.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe get that first win against maybe against PAOK. Let's say they get the first one against PAOK. Because I
yeah.
think they've played Olympiacos twice now. Yeah, they have.
I think
So
they
they have
have.
to they have to get that first one against PAOK. Let's go with that.
Yeah, get a win against Paul, get a win against Ike. Yeah, but overall, again, I'm glad we did our part. Again, like you said, it doesn't show exactly on the stats, it doesn't show exactly on the paper, but they're just a tough, annoying team to play against. And they can definitely take points off of anybody on a good day. So um realistically happy that we got that result. We're seeing more positive trajectory for us, ending the year on a high, like you said. Um, Overall, I really didn't see anything that was like super alarming for me while watching the game. Like you mentioned again, Unahi, I think was again doing fantastic. I really do notice that he has a good connection with the day. Seems like the
Yeah.
team is, it seems like they're pretty close under Rui, and you're seeing like these little like friendships almost kind of forming and this chemistry building off the pitch. And of course on it, again you see that build up play there. Foti, I wish kind of built up on his goal that he scored on Wednesday, I believe it was.
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there we go. Yeah, Thursday. Overall, again, I'm not too concerned with Foti in terms of finding his form again. He scored a couple goals. This is just one of those difficult games where opponents know you now because he had his breakout year last year, and now they're marking him tighter. He'll figure it out eventually. Again,
Hey, I mean, he can't score every game. He had 3 and 3, now he has 3 and 4. That's still very good. Like he is catching form, and I kind of uh one thing that made me that I was thinking about was the guys last week when they put out their pod. They had the conversation about who's kind of been a disappointment this season, and they all gave their answers. I think they gave great answers, and they backed them up. No one said Foti. No one said Foti, which I was a little surprised about, to be honest, because Foti's Foti, and we all respect him and we love him, and he's probably my favorite player. Like, it's definitely on the team. So I don't want to say anything bad about him, but to be honest, for me, he's been the biggest disappointment of the season. Which now is not a good time to say that because he is catching form. But if you look 2 weeks ago, he had what, one goal all season. And that was in, let's say beginning of December, he had one goal all season. This is the guy who had 20 some goals last season, 30 some goal contributions. You know, this is a guy who we rely on. And I think and there's factors like he's been injured and this and that. Like I'm not bashing him, but based on what you'd expect him to put out, especially on last season, he was a bit disappointing so far. But I'm very happy to see him start to heat up because if he goes back to last year's form in this second half of the season, yeah, we're definitely in it. I mean, we're in it no matter what, but like we're definitely in it if he goes to last year's form.
Yeah, if he hits last year's form again, I mean, yeah, it's we're looking pretty solid now. But if we get that consistent goal scorer up top, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna look real good for us.
Because that's what's hurt us so far this season. A
Yeah.
lack of, a solid striker and a consistent striker and someone who can put away these chances that, especially under Rui, are, 20, 30 chances that we're not just putting away. So if we find that consistent striker in Foti and whoever else we bring in, we're in business.
Yep, clinical finisher. That's what we really need. Can we somehow find a Berg regen? I mean, that would be fantastic to pair up with Foti. Um, Shout out to the
Uh,
Australians, right? Is it me on the podcast if I don't bring up Berg at least once? Um, but yeah, definitely overall, really, really happy with the play. Kind of just on the topic of players, we've seen some rumors going around. Maybe those of you that are listening have seen it around. First one I'm gonna go with, since we're talking about striker. Supposedly, we are linked with the former Ike and Volos. Oh no, was he? No, no, he wasn't for Ike and Volos. He used to be for PAO, Swiderski.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, I was confusing him with Van Vert, but yeah, Swiderski is the Polish international, I believe, linked with him as sort of a last resort if we don't sign somebody else from striker that's been on the list. Um, I mean, I don't think I would mind getting Swiderski in. I mean, again, he's familiar with the league. He played for PAOK. Um, doesn't really like jump off the page at me, but I don't really think any player we sign really is going to be one of those guys that jumps off the page. We just need a like solid, reliable goal scorer to pair with Forty and give him some rest sometimes. Um, what are kind of like your thoughts if we sign this Swiderski?
Yeah, you said it well. I mean, Swiderski is not going to, you know, blow anyone's mind away. But at the same time, and this is kind of the larger question, like who are not who, like who are you expecting? And I don't mean like give me a name. I mean like what kind of caliber player are you expecting? Because I don't know who I'm expecting because at the end of the day, Foti is your starting nine, right? And there's been rumors that Rui maybe will experiment with a 4-4-2. He likes that. So yes, he could play two strikers at the same time. But at the end of the day, right now we are playing a 4-3-3, and Foti is your main guy. So you're not bringing in someone who is going to replace Foti. You're bringing someone in who is going to be complementary to Foti, often relieve Foti, like you said, but not get the majority of the playing time. So if that's all true, which I think it is, if that's all true, then the level of player that you're going to bring in, there's a limit to that player. You're not going to bring in a very high profile guy who is not going to be starting and not going to be ahead of Foti and all this stuff. So that's just what's going on in my mind. That's why I asked you, like, what are you expecting? Because yeah, you might not be super excited about Swiderski, but Swiderski does fit everything I just described, like relieving a Foti, not getting the majority of playing time, uh, classic finisher. How much better are we going to get realistically, giving all that criteria?
Exactly. Yeah, Swiderski is pretty much what I'm imagining. Again, like he's not a guy that because I think people were saying that we're gonna go for Korea again. I mean, I had seen that like last month, but I agree with you. Whoever we sign is gonna be like I'm thinking Greek Super League level. Like I'm not gonna be surprised even if we go to like Volos and sign somebody from Volos or wherever.
Right.
Um,
We've been rumored with Betancourt from Panathinaikos.
right. Who I'd like. I'd like that signing, honestly. We just need somebody that is familiar with the Greek Super League, somebody that can take the weight off of Forti. And realistically, again, like you said, we've extended Forti. He's the main striker for our team. We're not going to go out and sign a replacement for him. We're not looking for,
Exactly.
we're looking for somebody to add. Yeah, Jerry's like the last couple games, yeah, he's scored, but we need somebody that, let's say Forti's out injured, we can reliably, start him for 90 minutes and figure, hey, this guy can probably score, not just a header. He can create his own goal as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Swiderski, I think, is that if I'm not I'm not too familiar with his game, but I think he's more of like a target man, like a traditional target striker, I believe. Um,
How much different is he than Yermaev, honestly? Like,
yeah, that yeah,
what are you solving at that point? Like, again, I'm not saying Yermaev is, yeah. Without saying anything else, how different is he than Yermaev? I think his ceiling was higher than Yermaev's, but
right.
I mean, we're not talking about ceilings right now. We're talking about someone who could relieve Foti and do the job. Um, I just don't know how different he is than Yermaev. Like, I don't know what you're solving by bringing him in if he's so similar to Yermaev.
Yeah, exactly. My fear, my only fear, I like the it sounds funny. I like the concept of Yeremiev, right? He's
Yeah.
he is a target man, right? But he can't dribble a ball, right? Like you think about it, like okay, I'm gonna cross it to him, right? He's the target guy. I'm gonna get it to him in the box. The problem is if it's not for him to one time it, he's gonna like miscontrol it and give it away, like tangle up and fall.
Well, yeah.
You know
He's
what I
gotten a
mean?
little better with his touches, actually, to be fair. Like, I do see slight improvements game to game. Like he was at the beginning of this season, he was almost unwatchable, but in the
Yeah,
past month, he's improved. He's held the ball a little more, and I think that's reflective of how much playing time he's gotten. Okay, Sporar is like basically out of the picture, but
yeah.
I do think Rui is trusting him more, not only because of his ability to be a target man, but also his improved ball skills and just gradual improvements every game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, to be fair to him, it has been improving a little bit, probably thanks to the extra minutes like you've been mentioning. Um,
And
but
he's
yeah,
gaining confidence. He has got 2-2. Okay, they've both been, like you said, poacher goals. Like, look at his goal on Thursday. That was a one-timer, but he did very well. Like, one time right into the net, top corner. Well done. And today he got the winning goal, and he was right where he needed to be on the end of a cross. So, yeah,
yeah,
I mean, he is that target man, like you said. But he's doing the job. And again, how much different is Feder's going to be? I don't know.
and that's kind of why I wanted to round out my point a little bit too. Is at this point, I don't know if I'd really go for Swiderski, especially considering that we kind of have a similar product with
Yeah.
Jerry. My thing is, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually pretty interested in bringing in Bentancur. I feel like he kind of fits that backup striker mold a little bit more than Swiderski. Um, just because again he's yeah, again he's not lighting it up because he's playing for Panathinaikos, but I mean that's good
He
enough.
was he was top scorer in the league until fairly recently. El Khabi overtook him. He had a hat trick like I don't know, a few games ago, and he overtook him. But Betancourt was the top
He's doing a solid
scorer
job.
for a couple months. So and on a lower team, so it's
Yeah,
nothing to
exactly.
scoff at.
Exactly. And the thing is too, he's doing that with a lower team. He's going to be surrounded by a lot more quality with our team with Panathinaikos. So I mean, again, that's the type of guy that I'd probably look at bringing in because you can see that he's a reliable scorer in the league. Again, he started off very strong. Um, and again, I mean, he can recover that form with Panathinaikos. And I just like his game a little bit more than Swiderski at this moment because we the last thing we need is redundancy, right? If
Yeah,
we're finding that something is a bit of a problem right now, like let's say with Jerry, right? Yeah, he's a poacher, but maybe we'd like him to be a little bit more mobile, somebody that can kind of complement a Foti when he's out. That's something that I look
yeah,
towards. That's something I'd much more prefer because he'd fit the game. Because Jerry, as he is now, I don't think he can play 90 minutes. He can't replace
no,
Foti.
no,
You put him in for 15 minutes, 20 minutes to try to get that poacher's goal. Versus a
yes,
Betancourt, I believe if we've got Foti out for a game, we can reliably trust Betancourt to play that 90-minute role, and he could probably find the back of the net, considering
yeah.
that he could create his own goals. So to me, that's my preferred target to kind of answer your question, Alex. Like somebody like that, not some guy that's a big name from Inter Milan or from wherever. Um, just
This
somebody
is also probably a short-term solution at the end of the day.
exactly.
Like, is this player that we're going to bring in going to factor into the 25-26 season? I don't know. I don't know. I would. mm, I see this kind of as like a stopgap solution to solve a problem for our title push in the next 4 or 5 months. That's what I see it. So you have to consider that too. And yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think that that kind of just really puts the nail there for that in terms of striker. Now, another thing, another rumor, another player that we've been kind of linked with is I believe it's Federico Bernardeschi, right? He used to play
Yep.
for Juventus, I believe it was a few years back.
Juve, yeah, who
Juve, was it Inter he played for as well?
might have, yeah.
Roma.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bernardeschi. I remember I was a fan of his. I believe
He
he's a
was a good player back in the day, yeah.
yeah, he's a left-footed player. He's definitely got um, some spark to his game, I guess, for lack of a better term. He's a fun player to watch. I believe he's a winger. Is that right, Alex?
The right wing, yeah, left-footed right winger. This
Yeah.
doesn't really make sense. And I'm gonna pair it with the other rumor that's also Ziyech, um,
Oh yeah.
who's who's been uh they say in Greek protathike. He's been offered to Olympiacos and Panathinaikos, Malakias. I mean, he's
Yeah.
also a right winger, left-footed right winger. So two left-footed right wingers are being offered to Greek teams. I think Sturge put it well in our chat. Like, this is just a classic case of the agents are offering their players up to teams that they think would be good suitors. But yeah, you have to look at it from our perspective. Like, this makes no sense from our perspective. We don't need another right wing. In fact, we've talked in previous pods how we have too many right wings because we have Tete, who's our starting right wing, and theoretically Palistri is also a right wing.
Yep.
So
Mm.
this makes yeah, this makes no sense. These high profile players, because they are high profile players, like Ziyech is a
Yeah.
name, Bernardeschi less so, but it's still a name. You know, we don't need those kind of players right now. We have positional depth in the positions that they play. And if we needed, I don't think we'd be bringing in these kinds of name brand players. Um, so I agree with what Serge was saying that this is just a an agent uh power play on their part.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And Ziyech was, I believe, linked with us in the summertime as well. So I
Yeah.
I do think it's some agent thing. I think that really goes back to um when we had Tareem even. I think it was before he was even sacked. I think there was some type of rumor about Ziyech and there was that Galatasaray.
He's in Turkey, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I agree. Again, we don't need another winger. I think this team is pretty set in terms of our positions. It's just we would need that striker. That's the main goal. Maybe we could upgrade maybe another position or two, but realistically, it's probably just going to be striker that we upgrade. Just because we have so much deadwood on the team that we need to get rid of. Um,
Yep.
Bernadeschi again. I was a fan of his back in the days, but again, Tete is
I
the
think
starting
I
winger.
think he's a good player, yeah, but just not wrong player. I mean, right player, wrong time for us.
Exactly.
Like, the what hurts a little bit is the potential of him going to a competitor. That's what hurts.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's worth making a move just to take it away from the competitor. But if one of these guys does go to Olympiacos, let's say, because they've both been linked also with Olympiacos, that does hurt. Yeah, that does hurt because I think, they're both quality players and they would be a big boost to a competitor. So let's hope that doesn't happen, but I don't see us stepping in the way of that, unfortunately, or
Yeah,
fortunately.
exactly. Yeah, I think wing is the one position that I think I mean, we've got an informed Juricic, we've got Tete, we've got Mancini, we've got Pelistri, and then we've even got Limnos, who I'm not a huge fan of, but that's just depth there, right? So we're
Yeah.
pretty set in wing. So definitely wouldn't waste.
Left back.
Left back is that's the position I was alluding to that maybe we may need to
Yeah.
strengthen because it looks like Max is injured again. Is that right?
So I think he got injured on Thursday. He was pulling, I don't remember what it officially was, but to me it looked like his hammy.
Okay.
Um, but I think they said that it's not long term and that he should be back either with PAOK or very soon in the new year.
Oh,
I think I read that. But it raises the bigger concern because he has been injured for a lot of the season already. He's injured again now. Okay, it's short term, but I mean, he's just another Malakia away from getting injured again, right?
pretty much.
So that's very concerning. And Mladenovic has already put in a fucking shift in the first half of the season. So I was always saying that I like Max and Mladenovic as like a duo. I think
Yeah,
like I'm satisfied performance wise with those two, but if one of them cannot stay healthy and the other guy is playing 90 minutes twice a week, yeah, I think you at that point you might have to move for a left back. Which sucks because we have Vichos coming in the summer. So like that's unofficial that's officially unofficial or unofficially official, whatever. There's no pen to paper yet, but that's basically gonna happen. So you have an incoming left back in the summer. Theoretically, Max is going to be on the team in the summer also, after the summer. Maybe you bring in a lone left back right now just to help you out.
possibly. It is. It's definitely possible. I think it's just all going to come down to what Rui thinks. He kind of assesses the injury, but it is a little bit concerning that Max has basically missed the majority of this first half of the season. I mean, he's hardly played any games. But yeah, I'd look at a left back possibly if we're told that we're going to sign one other player besides the striker. I'd look at left back because Mladenovic is going to gas out. I think that's going to be super vital for if we're going to make a title push, and especially if we're going to try to at least do a little bit something in Europe, we're going to need some depth there. We can't just rely on one left back the whole time. So yeah, definitely there. All the other positions I think I'm pretty happy with. Wintertime, of course, that's Greek Greek newspaper article writers. That's like their favorite
Yeah.
time of the year because they're just gonna come up with any vlakia that's gonna come up, any big name that's linked or loses their contract or whatever. We're probably gonna even see Paulo Dybala linked at this rate. I mean, it's gonna be the best time for newspapers to sell in Greece is the winter window and the summer window. Uh,
Hey, that'll be a good guy to
Hey, I'm not gonna. I'm a huge
have.
Dybala fan. That's why I'm kind of trying to speak it into existence here. But
That's the different kind of player than Yeremayev that we could use.
oh, yeah. If we got Dybala, I'd fly to Venizelos like
Yeah,
that day, bro.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
The other rumor is Yavas, right? Yavas was rumored that we've basically signed him again unofficially official. I think for they were saying for the summer, Yavas is from Panetolikos.
hmm,
He's like a defensive mid, but very versatile, can play everywhere. I think he started
oh,
uh he either is he a defensive mid now and he used to be primarily a center back or the other way around. But yeah, he's a very versatile player, can basically play anywhere on the pitch uh, other than like the front line. Um, so this is something that I wasn't very excited about, but I think the guys pointed out his versatility, which is a big plus. Um, he's Greek, which is also a plus, and he's been on the up with Panetolikos, so good depth piece.
yeah. He's supposed to be. I mean, if I'm thinking about the same guy, I think he's supposed to be like the next Furbelis, people are saying. So
Yeah, that's what people are saying. Yeah,
yeah, so supposedly he's better. So I Gurbelis in his prime I really liked. So definitely yeah, happy about that. We get a Greek player, Gurbelis mold, and you're right. He used to be a center back and now he plays as a defensive. But that's
yeah,
exactly what I think happened with Gurbelis too. I think he started his career
yeah.
center back and went to a defensive mid. So yeah, definitely happy about that. Again, very good to have some Greek players in, good talent. Um, yeah, again, it's not something that's really going to make a big impact for us now, like we're saying, because we have so many good quality options in midfield at the moment. But down the line, definitely something that we can rely on. Um, Overall, let's see. Any last things about the FC before we move on to basketball?
No, just you alluded to it before also, like we end the year on an extremely good streak of games. I think we are on a 6 game win streak, which is excellent, and we're undefeated in our last 10. Which I mean that's incredible. That's a very good run. Do you remember what our last loss was?
Our last loss, I mean, in the league, I can't. I don't. That was under Alonso. It must have been under Alonso. Our last just loss overall for the FC was against Djurgården.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So that was November 7 and it's December 22.
yeah,
So that's, a month and a half, no losses. That's incredible. And that's the reason that we've actually climbed the standings. We didn't even mention that. Ajax dropped points today. Everyone else won. Olympiacos won, PAOK won. Ajax dropped points though. So we're still 2 points off the top. That hasn't changed, but we're in third place ahead of Ajax. 2 points behind Olympiacos, and I think 1 point behind PAOK, who's in second. So, I mean, if you go a month and a half undefeated, that'll happen. And we're climbing slowly, and 2 points is nothing. 2 points is nothing.
exactly. All to play for. All to play.
Yep.
We're all too familiar with no lead is safe, right? Especially what happened was a couple seasons back. So to be 2 points off the top going into Christmas break is perfect. It's great. Definitely, room to fight for. We can take points off of our opponents in the derbies coming up. We can also get some favors from some of the other sides, like we saw against Ike today, who ended up dropping points, like you said. Overall, it's shaping up to be exciting. Definitely,
Yep.
it's a fun time to be a Panathinaikos FC supporter, well, Panathinaikos supporter in general. But the FC has been it's actually fun and exciting to watch games and highlights again. So, um, with that said, we'll go from one positive to another positive. Now we're going to talk about the basketball. There was a little bit of some worry, some concern, some anxiety amongst the fan base with how the basketball team has been playing, how they started off the season. But this week was actually a pretty good week for the most part for the basketball side. Panathinaikos basketball in EuroLeague it was a double week. Came out with both wins, win against Milano and a win against Baskonia. Both of them blowouts, and both of them with us scoring over 100 points, which in the EuroLeague is really big. To that's not something that you see too often. Teams getting into the triple digits. Um, Panathinaikos versus Milano. Kendrick Nunn masterclass. I mean, both games were at home. That first game against Milano, Kendrick Nunn went off. I mean, I don't think he missed from three in the first quarter. I think he had like 21 points or something like that. Um, it was incredible. He ended up scoring, I think it was 39 points.
Yep.
I mean, incredible. A lot of people, and even myself too. I was a little bit worried in the sense that that big win was like a Kendrick Nunn, hero ball type of game. But, as we went on to the next game to Baskonia, we saw a little bit of another huge blowout, really. And that was like a more concerted team effort. So, all in all, I wouldn't say that I've been really worried or concerned to that rough start that we had. I do think a lot of it has to do with Adaman and kind of his experimenting because again, like I've said in the past, I'm a history guy, so I like to look at patterns. And I just look back at Adaman's coaching history, and you see whenever he wins, he likes to tinker with stuff and play with stuff. And usually you'll see that kind of affects your record. Um, the way that the EuroLeague playoff system is all set up, really, honestly, I don't find it super vital to finish in first place. Yeah, you can argue, we've got the best roster along with Olympiacos. We should be finishing first place. But again, I think with the new additions, with new guys coming in, Adaman's trying to play with things around. And I think he's starting to find that winning formula because we had those two triple digit wins, 103, 104. We also had a huge win today against Aris. And Aris actually has a pretty decent basketball team in the Greek league. 126 we scored. We had a 52-point win today against Aris. So I think things are starting to finally click. People are starting to really figure out their roles. Guys like Lorenzo Brown, for example, went from being the star player to now being a somewhat of a role player for this team. And those are starting to click. The unfortunate thing is we did lose Matthias Lessort for likely the rest of the season. He's out for 4 or 5 months by the time he comes back and recovers. He sprained his ankle against Baskonia. So we are in the market for a big at the moment, and I'll kind of touch on that a little bit. But Alex, I kind of want to get like just your overall thoughts on this week's performances from Panathinaikos BC. Are you feeling a little bit concerned? Are you feeling a little more confident now that we've been seeing these like huge score lines?
I mean, it was the perfect week. It was an amazing week. Unfortunately, only blemish was Lessort. If Lessort hadn't gotten injured, it would have literally been the perfect week. Like you said, back-to-back 100 points. That's massive. That doesn't happen often in the EuroLeague. Doesn't matter who the opponent is. That's good, especially considering it was just the week before that we were held to below 70 points against FS, right? That was
Yeah.
68 or 69 points. So to bounce back like that, that's great. That's really good. And also to buckle down on defense, which has been kind of a concern for the team, that's equally as important. So on both ends, awesome that the team is bounced back on both ends. I was a little concerned too. I mean, I think the defensive struggles were um hard to ignore because before the back-to-back blowouts in our favor, we had gotten blown out back-to-back times. It was that 18-point loss, which was the biggest under the Ataman era, and then the FS1 topped that was like almost 30 points. So it's just kind of funny. It's two sets of back-to-back blowouts, uh, either way. So
Yeah.
it's yes, I was worried. I got to be honest, I was worried. I think we kind of said as much on the last pod. And yeah, the worry has definitely eased a little bit after the performances this week. Um, but I think we got to take that momentum basically and just do it against the top teams now because yes, it's nice. Like I said, you can't take anything for granted. 100 points against anyone is important, but I think we just got to be a little more effective against the teams that are the competitors, let's say, or our competitors. Because I don't know, I don't know exactly what our record is against like let's say the top eight in EuroLeague, but it's I don't think it's as good as we'd want it to be, right? And those are the teams that at the end of the day we're gonna have to beat and be able to beat to get to the playoffs and also in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the standings right now, Alex, and to answer your question, we've lost to Paris, we've lost to Monaco, we've lost to Olympiacos, we beat Bayern, we beat Fenerbahce, we lost to Efes, and we lost to Žalgiris. So out of
Right. So there you go.
yeah, we've only beat two of them. We beat Fener and we beat Bayern. Everybody else we've lost to. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
definitely.
and it in a funny way, it's kind of the same thing that we might say about the FC is that the FC is clicking right now on every level, but hasn't really been tested yet, right? Like we haven't had that derby under Vitoria, and it's right around the corner, right? First game of the new year, 2025. It's against PAOK at home, so that's going to be kind of the I don't want to say the real test because Europe is a test, and we got to the KO, the knockout stages, but similarly with the basketball team, like great back-to-back blowouts, responded from the negative back-to-back blowouts. Let's see when a really really good opponent comes around because what's our next games looking like? We got one on the 27th this week, I think, right?
Our next game is going to be against on the 27th against Bayern, and Bayern's currently ahead.
Bayern. Okay, so there you go. I mean, that's kind of what I'm talking about. That should be away, right? Because we opened at home against them. So
Yeah,
Bayern away, that's a test. And let's see if we could take, you know, the back-to-back EuroLeague blowouts, the Greek League blowout against Aris. That's three straight 100-point games. Let's see what we could do against Bayern away. I'm not expecting 100 points away, but let's put up 90, let's put up 85, and let's hold them to 70, 75. Just continue that same thing that we were talking about, like the improved offense and the improved defense, which were problems in those negative blowouts. Let's just keep going with that.
yeah. It's something I was talking with Chris. I was talking to Chris, and it's been fantastic to have the blowouts. Again, that'd be my preference every single time, of course, to just blow every opponent out. But something that I think that's going to be really important to dictate where this team is at is how they're going to respond to close games, especially against tougher opponents like we saw last year. So yeah, we pulled off, you could say, the Barcelona win. We won by 1 point there, but I felt like that was a little bit of a Kendrick Nunn heroic game again. I'm looking towards, is everybody going to be able to click? Of course, that's not always possible. Not everybody's going to be at 100% when they're playing, but when we come up against an opponent and our backs are against the wall, how are we going to respond? Are we just going to roll over and let them beat us like we saw with Partizan? Are
Right.
we going to respond? Are we going to latch up on defense and then eventually transition that into offense? That for me is really the important thing. If we start to see us pulling out these tough wins against these bigger opponents, let's say like against the Bayern, right? Even if we win by a couple points, but we grinded out that win, I think we're in a good spot. My concern will be if we just lay over and just once it gets tough, we get blown out again. We've still got some things that we need to work on. Again, it's only December 22nd right now. But it's starting to look good because, like you said, those two back-to-back blowouts got consecutively worse for us, right? That 18 point, that 30 something point. So I think that kind of gave them that kick that they needed because I think they were getting a little too complacent. And I gave them a reminder that, hey, you got to, this is basketball. Anybody can beat anybody, especially in EuroLeague. So that gave
Yeah.
them a kick in the behind. Again, I'm feeling confident. Um, I'm just waiting for guys like Osman. I got to watch the game today, at least the highlights. I'm waiting for Osman to start clicking a little bit and finding his way. He's been part of the problem defensively, in my opinion. I mean, when I've been watching him, he overcommits or he's too slow to close out. He leaves somebody open. Those have been kind of some of my concerns. Now back to that whole Matthias Lessort situation. Now we've lost him. He's been huge on defense, but he's also been huge on offense. I saw a name linked today. His name's Wenyan Gabriel. He used to play for the Los Angeles Lakers. Um, I'd be happy with Gabriel. Again, I don't think there's not really anybody available on the market that can do what Lessort can do. Because something that Lessort is
Yeah.
really good at is something that you see like with Joel Embiid, for example. He's really good at drawing fouls and selling fouls and getting and ones. That's like super huge. He's also a really good rebounder as well. So
We just don't have that paint presence now, right? And
exactly.
that hurts. And like you said, there's not really, you know the market better than I do, but that's just not in general something that's going to be easy to find to the kind of extent that he does it. You want someone who's going to do everything in the paint, like you said, rebounds, draw fouls, just a paint presence, and um, yeah, that hurts. That hurts. Yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna be a blow. I know I've been listening to some of the spaces. I know fans haven't been a big fan of Yurtseven. I feel like the last couple of games he's dipped off a little bit. But he's not that defensive presence that I think fans were thinking he's gonna be. Like I saw a lot of criticism, like people were bringing up like his scouting reports on the Jazz and stuff when he was playing in Utah in the NBA. Yeah, he's not really a defender. The thing that I do like about Yurtseven is that he is more of a he's a pretty consistent finisher. He's not gonna go for the spectacular. He'll go in, he'll get his layup, he'll get his dunk, his putbacks. But again, like Lessort, that type of guy, you're not gonna see available on the market. Somebody's gonna snatch him up. I mean, honestly, Lessort is good enough to play in the NBA. Like I said, to win and draw fouls that way, it's an art. So we're gonna miss that definitely for the rest of the season. Prayers to him and his family. Hope he's well.
yeah.
Something that really kind of touched my heart a little bit was seeing Juancho go and get his little boy up. He was just crying, seeing his dad get injured, and Juancho just went and picked him up and just embraced him. It's nice to see that family environment in the team. And hats off to Juancho, man. I think he deserves that extension. He's a great locker room presence, it looks like. He stepped it up this season. He's been one of our most consistent 3-point shooters. And he's fighting for that contract. So that's been a blessing. That's been really helping us in kind of this rougher part of the season, and now we're starting to turn it around. But just wanted to give him his flowers a little bit. Um, like you said, Friday we're gonna play, or I'm sorry, on yeah, that is Friday, or the 27th. We are gonna
Yeah.
play Bayern Munich in Germany. That's gonna be a good game. Hoping again we continue with that form and we pull off the win. Um,
It's also believed, just one last thing on Lessort, it's believed that
yeah,
he's going to get an extension himself. Despite the injury, I think DPG is going to offer him a new contract, which is honestly great. I think we all want that. Like you said, like you said, we're gonna miss him for these 4 months, but that's someone you want to keep around because even if you need to replace him in the summer, you're not going to find an adequate replacement, someone who brings what he brings to the table that easily in the European market. So I think just from a uh, team perspective, it makes sense. We need to keep that player, but also just from a respect perspective, it's nice that we would offer him a new contract even with his injury.
yeah,
Something that we've seen the FC do. Obviously, Aitor got a new contract when he had his ACL. Magnuson got a new contract with his ACL. Neither of those worked out really. But this is different. This is completely different in my opinion, and this is, I think, going to work out much better, and it's definitely the right move.
yeah. I think that was a really classy gesture, and I think that day too. I'm like DPG is gonna offer him a contract. No way he's gonna let
Yeah.
him walk. The good thing with it with Lessort is he doesn't really rely too much on like heavy athleticism. He's got that fractured ankle. Something that me and Dino mentioned in the chat. We're both Boston Celtics fans. When we saw Gordon Hayward, that was like the first thing that went to my mind was that injury. Gordon Hayward came back and he was never the same again. But again, Hayward kind of he was one of those guys kind of relied on his athleticism a little bit, and then it got to his head. Lessort, he does his dunks, of course, but he's just so good at he's those putbacks. He's good at just drawing fouls. Good at getting those defensive stops. So those are things that you don't necessarily need like heavy reliance on athleticism all the time with. So I think he'll come back fine. Smart move to pen him down because I was getting a little bit worried that somebody from the NBA was going to steal him, especially after that final against the USA. I thought maybe some NBA scouts were going to see him, like they saw Yabusele and took him from Madrid. So yeah, happy, positive thing there that we got him extended. Good gesture from us there, just a classy gesture. Um, yeah, I'm just overall really happy with both Panathinaikos FC and BC, just starting to kind of find their way a little bit. True tests are going to come after the Christmas break. Um, Alec, did you want to add any like final points before we finish off this episode?
I was just gonna ask you because it's the last episode of last episode of the podcast. No, the last episode of the year. What was your Panathinaikos highlight of the year? But that's kind of a silly question because I think we all know what that is.
Yeah, yeah, I'm actually glad that you mentioned that. Yeah, the EuroLeague
Of
Championship.
course, yeah,
That was I. You know what's funny that was the day my sister got engaged, right? I was probably more excited about the EuroLeague
yeah,
than that engagement, funnily enough. And like now I'll always remember that seventh star every
yeah.
time I think about it.
Very
I'm
nice.
super, yeah, that I mean I even up to like maybe a month ago, I was watching highlights. Like I was just so happy watching. I mean, I make edits for our TikTok. I just go through, little highlights from the final just to watch it again. That and then I'd say right behind it is that reverse sweep that we did to Olympiacos like a week after.
Yes,
That was so sweet.
yes. In general, that period of time was definitely the highlight of 2024 because that weekend we won EuroLeague and then we won the Greek Cup, obviously. Or was it reverse? No, we won the Cup first and then we won EuroLeague Saturday, Sunday. Um, it was Friday, Saturday,
Yeah.
Sunday. The semifinal was Friday for EuroLeague. That went our way. Then Saturday we won the Cup in footy, and then Sunday we won EuroLeague. So that 3 day span was fantastic. I remember I wore the same shirt all 3 days. I'm a little superstitious, so that shirt was fucking reeking after after Sunday, but
All that sweet.
um, yeah, that weekend was fantastic. And like you said, then the reverse sweep happened shortly after in the league for basketball, and that was also very sweet too because we were feeling kind of down about it, right? Because the 0-2 was not great, and it was a
Yeah,
letdown after winning EuroLeague. It like didn't really matter. We were like, ah, whatever. We have the 7 star, but it just felt kind of like a letdown. But then to just turn it on them, that was really sweet. So that weekend and that week in general was definitely the highlight of 2024.
that was insane. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that you brought that up.
It's it's we got to think about the good stuff, the good times. We can't forget about them.
Yeah, yeah, great way. Yeah, because especially we're finishing off. This is our last podcast of the year, so yeah, definitely finish up on that high there. That those happy moments. Yeah, definitely, man. Um,
Any predictions for what we're gonna get in 2025? Either FC, BC.
2025. We got that 7 star in EuroLeague in basketball we were chasing for 12 years. My goal for 2025 is we need to get that league title and for the FC that we've been missing for 15 years.
Bame, bame.
That's what
That's what we need.
that's what we need. That's what we need. You know, let's back Rui. Let's back our boys. Those are the vibes that I want to go into 2025 with.
Let's end droughts. End droughts. Like you said, 12 years. We ended the EuroLeague drought. We're starting to end droughts in footy. We posted recently on the Twitter. Obviously the negative away record. We
Yeah,
ended that drought, 14 wins without a away win in a group/league stage. That's done. We're playing European football in the new year. That's another drought done.
yeah,
Next league, please. That's what we need. Yes, I agree. 100%. That's what we want to see in 2025.
that's what we need. Let's hope this Trifili really comes in clutch this year for us coming up.
Also important to know, sorry, we're jumping all over here, but the FC is making big moves in the club ranking ladder.
Yeah,
We started the European season like below 200th or something, which is obviously a result of being out of Europe for 6 years, all of that, bad European seasons. Um, and we've already jumped into the top 100. So just in this, half a season, basically, league stage, um, we've gone from 200 plus to double digits, like 90s. And we're just going to keep climbing, which is big. That's not the same thing as coefficient, obviously. The coefficient is doing very well too, I think, where the club is climbing in coefficient, which is going to help us in future years get easier draws, be seeded, et cetera, et cetera. But yes, coefficient and club ranking both going up. Really nice to see, and let's hope that keeps going up in 2025.
that's right. That's right, man. For all of those listening, um, definitely just want to keep having those positive vibes for Panathinaikos. Hoping all these things that we've said come true for us. We continue to build. We continue to grow. Our goal, personally, as well as a page, is to continue to grow and gain more listeners. Please feel free if you know any Panathinaikos fans. We know that we've got a lot throughout the diaspora Greeks. Please share it with your uncles, your grandpas, your brothers, your cousins. Share it on Spotify, share it on YouTube, share it on Apple Podcasts. We're also on X, we're also on Instagram, and we're also on Facebook. We even have a blogger page as well. So please feel free, share all this information. I know there's a lot of Panathinaikos out there. We definitely want to get the message out. Please give us a good review, 5 stars. And we just wish that you guys all have a happy new year with all your family and your friends. Alex, I hope you have a happy new year and a Merry Christmas. And I look
Χρόνια πολλά, υγεία, καλές γιορτές, καλή χρονιά, everything.
everything, brother. Well, that's our last pod of the year. Hope you guys all enjoy it and you guys have a good holiday season.